Hello and welcome along to episode 8 of Arvenia, Soulforged. That name's stuck now. Every time I go to say Soulforged, it comes out as Arvenia. Anyway, today I have playing with me, Jay.
Hello there, I'm Jay, and I'm playing Kai Azeroth, what am I? Trident, that's what I am, Bard Cleric.
I have Jamel.
Hey guys, Jamal here. Today I'll be playing Galthak Bonebreaker, our ginormous.
Did you just upgrade your character from Stonebreaker to Bonebreaker?
I was just about to ask, was that always his name?
No, it's Stonebreaker. No, you definitely said Bonebreaker.
You might have.
You
No,
might
I'm pretty sure I
have
said Stonebreaker.
Well,
Okay,
there'll be a VOD. Proof will be in the pudding.
Okay, fine, Bonebreaker now. He will break your bones as well. Yeah, he's a Path of the Juggernaut Barbarian. He's a Goliath. He's hecking huge, and he will break your stone and break your bone.
I have Josh.
I'm Josh. I will be playing Lukewix, the Drake Warden Ranger.
I have Michaela.
Hi, I'm Michaela. I am playing Winona Barrelite, the Deep Gnome Rogue Artificer.
And after 3 months out with a hairline fracture to her rah-rah skirt, sustained by an active fight with a hippopotamus, I welcome back Alora. Welcome back.
Wow, I really don't remember any of that.
3 weeks, not months, sorry.
Got that concussion, that really affected me. I'm Alora, I'm playing Carina, the Aethamar Chronology Wizard.
That you are. And so we will recap briefly. We left without Carina to go up to the very north, past the various islands, and up to Skeld. In the meantime, you guys dealt with some problems at a couple of small villages on the way, including Seal Bay. And you finally got up to Skeld, where you witnessed the Goliath anger and the village raids that had happened. Unlike the raids further south, there were no people forged, there were no people taken, there were no hostages. Instead, these villages were burnt, pillaged, etc., leaving nothing behind and killing women and children indiscriminately, which the Goliaths think is very dishonourable, and it goes very much against their sort of view of war. And so when you arrived, Duke Braundy of Skeld was sort of leading the war cries that would result in many of the untried, as they're called, which we found out are actually quite tried. They've often killed, great beasts and much else besides, but what they haven't done is fought in war proper. So the untried. Also, I forgot to mention, I think, that the untried are all unmarried.
Hey.
So so though many an eligible bachelor is is headed. Well, they've left, I'm afraid, so you can't have them when on.
Damn it!
They've left in longboats to head to the Raider Isles.
Ejected.
And at that point, obviously, we left you guys in Skeld. We are not going to keep you guys in Skeld unless there is anything that's absolutely desperate within Skeld for you guys. As far as I'm concerned, there isn't. So great. So with that confirmation, you guys would have returned back sur la boat to Velarys. If you remember, shortly before the end of last episode, Carina got in touch via sending. To tell you that other villages had been forged, many to the south. I think, were they all to the south? It was Perrin and Silt, two of the main places.
Yeah.
Amongst others. And so we will return to Velarys and pick up there, I think. And with that, I will hand over to you guys. Once your boat pulls in and you meet up with Carina, what are you doing?
Oh, we're with Carina? Well,
yeah, it would be. It's the reunison moment. You've just
fantastic.
Sort of arrived back.
I will go and give Carina a hug. Welcome back. How was your trip?
I didn't leave.
Oh, right, we were on
But
the
hi.
trip.
You left.
Well, Laura, how was your trip in real life?
Oh, my real life trip was good. That was great.
Okay, that's great. We'll tell you about our trip then, and I think we'll go over the details of, you know, the important stuff that we didn't have space to send in sending. Which was, my goodness.
Should
My whole
get that
25
started
word
over
responses
in-
I could get.
I know, I'm like trying to, you know, everything about that big fight and all the stuff with Jenkins and oh my goodness.
Yeah, how did that work out?
Honestly, I'm you know, the kid held his own. I think we did very well, all things considered.
What did you achieve?
Oh, well, I mean, we stopped them from attacking this village. It was Verity, is that his name? Who saw the vision?
Yes.
Yes. So his vision was able to get us there in time to prevent an attack. I mean, we didn't take out all of the raiders, I suppose, but we did, you know, stop people from getting killed.
Was he fighting, or did he continue his vision quest?
Was he fighting? I don't even remember.
So he did draw a sword in the fight, but he didn't really get to fight anything till the very end. Between the cannonballs and the waves of magic, the soldiers didn't. The normal soldiers and Verity himself didn't really get very involved. They ended up protecting the villagers up at the main building, though they did get a fight with a couple of barbarians at the end.
Yeah.
They got destroyed.
Yeah. Really heroic moments all around. I'm sure we would have, you know, done a lot better with your help, Carina, but we handled it. And did you, am I forgetting anything important, guys? Sounds like I am.
I don't think on the island.
What did you
anything
not
was missed.
achieve? What did you
Stopping them
not? Did you
from-
not prevent? Yes.
From blowing up all that.
The emergency food
Oh,
stores. Yes.
Yes, the hidden food stores under that town. That they
Nobody knew about.
shouldn't have known about. Yeah, Verity was really concerned that they just knew it was there. 'Cause apparently that's a well-guarded secret by the royal family. And, there were other food stores in other towns. Have we established if those are safe or not?
Verity has can't remember the exact list. Right, he's only seen it a couple of times, like years ago. But he knows that of the two villages that were attacked to the south, neither of those did contain a food store. So that was as much information as he was able to give you. He kind of mentioned a couple of them that he thought were so Yellstock he knew of. He knew Yellstock was one of the villages, which is just next to Velarys. He mentioned a couple of others that he was sort of areas, but he didn't know much about the towns individually.
Is Yellstock a coastal town?
Yellstock is a coastal town. It is approximately a 1.5 days journey to the southeast of Velarys, down onto the coast. It's almost protected by Velarys' wide open harbour bay. It will be pretty difficult to attack Yellstock. But they managed Carve, right? And Carve isn't that much further from Velarys, so... And Forge, indeed, which is really close, so... yeah, it's a coastal town. It's perfectly primed for getting plundered.
You know, Winona, there is one thing that you forgot to mention.
Oh, please, Luca, what is it?
Luca will raise one hand and snap his fingers, and then out of thin air, Vero will just appear like mid-flight, like overhead.
Wow. Well, I didn't want to steal your thunder, pun intended. This was your moment.
He's a lightning dragon, but I'll let that slide. Yes!
Thunder and lightning, very, very frightening. Come on.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a big boy now.
That's... Wow. Is he gonna get bigger?
He
Just
hopes
keep going
so.
forward?
He hopes so. He's talked about eating the world whole, but I don't know if he'll be actually able to do that.
Oh, okay. Let's hope not. Well, I've been studying.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry. What have you learned anything?
I have no idea. Have I?
Well, actually, we're gonna have a little moment about what Carina learned and didn't learn. But first of all, Carina, I'm a little way into your stay at Velarys. You were approached by Discretion. Discretion is the king's assassin, as you know. And he isn't seen much about court, if at all. Keeps himself very much to himself. But he came quietly one day to your home. As he arrived, he sort of, quietly, Carina, I had a proposal of sorts, if I might.
Sure, and I will walk him into my office.
It is my job to know what goes on in and around the city and in and around the country. I would like to stay true to my namesake, so I will merely offer this. I have some tutors I would very much like you to accept into your home or wherever else you're having your particular young charge tutored. Tutors that teach of royal business. Bloodlines and the history of the nobles. Diplomacy. Proper etiquette at court. And some other things besides. I will say no more, but I would be very appreciative if you would accept this offer.
You're offering me this. Do you have the boy's mother?
No. Though... I know where she was. She is no longer alive. For anybody on the outside who's wondering, Kepit's mother was taken and forged. The large group was returned. That was the main group on which Discretion was conducting sort of experiments, etc. Trying to find a cure to the problem. Sorry, continue, Carina.
Can you tell me who his father is?
I don't think I can. Not because I refuse, but simply because I'm not sure. I am aware that his mother, as far as she knew, believed completely that his father is a prince. I believe she told the boy the same. And I believe that he has a royal signet ring in his possession, but as to which of the three princes it is, and I am sure it's not the king. As to which of the three princes, I honestly couldn't say.
I will accept the tutors. But he needs friends as well. It can't all be privately.
No, it is, I think, in his best wishes for his lineage to remain unspoken of for now. In these times, I obviously don't need to tell you how much it would shake up the populace and the royal court itself, should his true lineage be revealed. Whatever it might be.
He deserves to know one day.
Of course.
The truth.
I'm sure he does, and it is my hope that if the boy is seen about court, perhaps as a young child you picked up from a forged village, which is true enough, then perhaps his father might see fit to make amends.
If he knows of his existence.
Judging by the way the woman wrote and spoke, I'm pretty sure the father knows. The mother received various gifts, stipends, throughout the boy's younger life.
Keep him out of the court until he's older. He's just a boy.
That's up to you.
He doesn't know.
I will say nothing more. I just want him educated as befits the son of a prince.
Very well.
Speaking of education, I was told to bring you this. And he places two heavy tomes sort of upon your desk that were given by Court Mage Jera. One of them is a book on the Elderlings and all that has been discovered about them, or the Solas. And the other is of dispelling and controlling magic, which does contain a few spells, primarily dispel magic, because some people in the court are incompetent at that. So you should do it. Dispel magic, counter spell, and detect magic, which I'm sure you probably already got. But those are the three that are
Probably, but cool.
Yeah.
Are materials for those also provided so that I can copy that? Just asking. Or do I need to buy it myself?
Oh, you mean in terms of the gold cost? Yeah. They'll. Aren't you like super rich?
I spent a lot of money on scrolls.
Sure. Why not? It's what, 300 gold?
Something like that.
350, I think. 2 third levels and a first level. I don't think any of them are divination, so yeah. You're not a divination wizard. Wait, does that mean you don't... Okay, totally off topic. You know how like illusion wizards get discount on writing illusion spells, and do you get... and Order Scribes wizards get reduced prices on all spells? Do Chronology wizards get reduction on any spells?
I don't think so.
Sucks to be you. It's a good job you're rich. Yeah, so he'll cover you with 350 gold. I don't think there's any material components required. Yeah, cool. But with that, you're able to sort of sit down and read the book on the Elderlings over the week. And I will let you decide if you're going to go and tell Capit or not in a second. But just to let you know a couple of things you've learnt. First of all, the song is on repeat. First of all, the Solas are said to be deep to the west, over mountain and through forest. As far as you know, there's no forests west of the Mountain Kingdom, but the book says otherwise, so I guess it may or may not be true. It says that they fly on wings of gold, whatever that means, and they are closer to the gods than any other on the mortal realm. Well, so the book says. You know, who knows if it's right.
Right on what? Wings?
They fly on wings of gold.
Ah.
They are closer to the gods than any others on the mortal realm. And they are deep to the west, over mountain, forest, and sea. There's a horse in Carina's house. It's quite disturbing.
Are we in Carina's house?
It's my water horse. She's just walking around.
We were, briefly, yeah. Carina, did you want to do anything else in particular in your time period before these people came home?
No, knowing that answers the one question, although I was going to try to spend some time trying to work out the Raiders language from the book that, what's his name gave me.
Yep. Go ahead and give me a... I'm going to take two separate things for this, actually. Give me a straight intelligence check, first of all, to see how well you sort of discern, decipher, and understand.
17.
Yeah, 17's pretty good. You garner a relatively decent sort of gain on what the language is, but much like Kai has been experiencing as well, there are lots of references to things you simply don't understand, or may not understand. Go ahead and give me a insight check, please.
Insight, I'm great at that.
Yeah, I'm sure you are.
6.
You say that, but all of your stats are positive, I'm sure. They usually are. A 6, not great. Yeah, you're sort of in the same boat as Kai right now, that references to certain runes, which you think might have something to do with the fact that it's called the God Runes. Many different practices or turns of phrase, such as the Verna, whatever that is, Verna. And called to camp it, whatever that means. There are lots of these sort of phrases and names and references that don't translate because there is either no translation or they're like proper names. So it's like reading a story with no understanding of the context. Yeah. It's like you're a fox trying to read about... Wow, that was a bit pointed. Sorry. I'll pick a different animal. It's like you're a horse trying to read about politics, right? You've got no reference points.
Okay.
Sorry, Luca, it really wasn't intended. I think somewhere in my subliminal consciousness there was a fox on the screen in the GIF, so my brain went, find animal, fox! Yeah. But anyway, apart from that, and you're reading over, and you sort of just spending the time studying and reading.
Cool. The only question I have is I can't find counterspell in the spell list for some reason.
You can't find counterspell in the spell list. Well, it's a base game spell.
Yeah.
It's a 3rd level spell.
Yep. Sure is.
Well, I'll click learn for you. Are you sure you were on... I have to ask this. Were you on add spells, or were you in your spell book of known spells?
Hey, look, it's there.
Thought it might be. Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah, I've done that. I've tried to add a spell, and I'm like, wait, I can't find it. I'm like, yeah, that's because I don't have it yet. Anyway, I have clicked add, so you might end up with 2 versions of it. But regardless, I think we'll pick up in the Seahorse and Sickle. It's been a while since we visited the Seahorse and Sickle. As I'm sure you guys have lots to catch up on and should go for a meal together. Go for a meal together. Go chat.
Okay.
Go.
We do that.
I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the main aim for me is for you guys to discuss sort of what it is you want to do. You know,
Yeah.
what is the plan? And obviously this, you're very well regarded at the Seahorse and Sickle. It's not the most glamorous of inns, but it's got some private rooms, right? And you guys always get like a little private room. If you remember, this is where we went the night with what's her name? With the captain of the guard. It's also where you guys told your tales. So anyway, you've got a private room there. You can chat about everything and anything in public without worrying too much.
We're back in Velarys?
Yeah, the Seahorse and Sickle is in Velarys.
Copy that. Okay. Wait, is Jenkins here?
Hell no.
Okay, cool. That's fine.
We're
I
done
just
with him.
wanted to double check.
So Jenkins has returned to Court Mage Jera.
Oh, good.
When he returned, Court Mage Jera was not angry about the staff at all.
Okay.
Which Jenkins was super over the moon about.
Oh man, I had a to-do list. Things to ask Carina. Number 1, to fix Jenkins' staff. Number 2, number 2, what is wizard wood?
Yes. Okay, well, we'll let you get onto that in the tavern. Just a quick update on... she's going to have to go look through her notes for that one. So we'll give her a moment. Yeah, so Jenkins is now Court Mage Jera's official apprentice.
Oh,
At 34 years
yes.
old, he's doing real
Go
well for
off,
himself.
King!
Yeah, go off, Jenkins. Yes, what is Wizardwood, Carina?
Yes.
You came across Wizardwood?
Did we, or did we just hear about
You
it?
came across it. It was the arrow in the dragon's chest. Or so say the tales. So said that one dude with the shaggy beard that you kept bumping into, who kept telling you stories, yeah?
That weird old drifter. Yes, he told us the story like 10 times about a pale lady on the sails of the ships who wants to eliminate all the dragons of the world. Is that right? And this wizard wood arrow was specifically good at that, I suppose.
For dragon slaying.
Yeah. And I'm like looking awkwardly, or not awkwardly looking at Sweet Luca.
I'll reach into my pocket and I'll pull out a small piece of wood. Well, this is actually wizard wood, which I had not heard about the whole dragon slaying thing. Sorry. It was actually my mother's.
Oh.
It, as I was told, it prevents disease and, unwanted children.
Huh.
Just for reference, it is designed to be placed within the navel. It's like it's sort of an attachment, as such. I don't know if you can quite call it jewelry, as it's made of a piece of wood. But yes. The wood is incredibly tough. Its grain is very dense, and it's slightly grey and silvery, grey or silvery in colour. But yeah. So
Oh.
it's like.
Strange that it has so many different, so diverse purposes.
Yeah, I wasn't, well, that's not what I expected to hear about a wizard.
Likewise.
Hey? So what are we... I mean, what
So
are
you
we
said
gonna
you
do
said
now?
that the town that was attacked had food storage that the raiders went directly after.
Yes, and blew it to bits.
And you mentioned there's another, at least one known location that you were told.
There's there's a whole list, but we've got only a couple certain locations. Maybe we should talk to the king about that specifically.
I mean, surely Verity would have mentioned that possible target. The question is, what do we do? Do we just keep trying to rush from town to town?
Well, we have, oh, that reminds me. There were those towns in the south that were attacked, right? Wasn't that where your father was around, Carina? Is he okay? Do you know?
I reach into my bag and I pull out a bottle with a floating ship in it.
Karina's father has made her way. Karina's father has made his way all the way into
Nice.
Tradeford, which is where the shipwrights have been collected. They await the... No, that's rubbish. Sorry, Turlake, which you don't have marked on your map. I'm kind of too confused. He's made his way to Turlake,
Wow.
across land and sea. The wood is going... Well, the shipwrights themselves are going to be at Turlake there. And the wood is going to be, hopefully, when Verity marries Katrikan, brought down the river by barge across the Blue Lake and to there, and that is where the then the shipwrights will begin their work, and then obviously they'll be brought to Velarys for launch. Whether that's... It's unlikely that the ships will be built at Turlake, but it's likely that that's where the process will begin. So that's where Carina's father is. Not even at the coast for once in his life. So he's very safe.
Yes, he's doing well.
Well, that's good to hear. That just, to go back to what you were saying before, it seems like us going to town is, is good when we get the opportunity, but obviously we can't be everywhere at once.
We can't always predict where they're going to actually come.
Yeah.
I wish we could take the fight to them.
Seconding that.
Thirding that.
When the time comes. When the time comes. I would have loved to be on one of those ships, joining those raiders, going out to clash with the bandits. I say the raiders. I mean, I mean the
Goliath's son.
untried.
It's your race.
Yeah, they're untried. Yeah, well, they're now counter raiders, aren't they? They're raiding the raiders.
Yeah.
It's time.
Exactly.
I would love to be joining them, waging into war against these bastards, but something
How-
tells
They
me
have some
now's not the
success.
time.
Yes, I was gonna. How long do you think it will take us to find out how things went for them?
Maybe a month, maybe 2. Who knows?
I felt like they had the best, the best course of action. Let's just see what's happening over there. But I don't know what else we can do from here.
For the time being, people need to be looked after and taken care of here at home. It's time to go on the offensive another time, but for now, there's no point going hard on the offensive anywhere. We don't know where we're going on the offensive.
You're right. When you're right about that.
Only you could make something so sensible sound so stupid. Like, that sounded so convoluted and complex. It was really quite simple. Don't attack them until we know where they are.
Yeah.
I understood your meaning, Galthak.
I need more tankards. Bring me more.
Okay. I will be
Present
done.
Firkin for me.
Okay. We assume that you guys will talk about more menial and normal stuff over the next 2 hours.
What happened to Sultan Lee and Perrins anyway? Like,
What?
that place is toast, right?
Sultan Lee and Perrin?
Yeah, Sultan Perrin.
Oh, Silt and Perrin. Yeah, so Perrin was burnt to the ground.
They're
It's
toast then. Got it.
It's believed that that maybe some people were taken, but it's not sure. Silt were offered the chance to pay the raiders, and they chose not to. And 26 were forged in Silt. Silt's a town of about 200. They took their own people in and hope to do their best with them.
So why in the hell Some of these places are getting torched.
Well, all of the places that have been
People are getting
torched
turned.
have been small enough to torch. Right? You can't torch a town, but you can torch a village. Basically, that seems to be the pattern, is if they can burn, they do. And a lot of the times in the towns that they can't sort of burn the whole town down, grain stores, stables, communal buildings, taverns, etc., tend to be what get torched.
They burn
Buildings
the small
were torched
ones,
in
turn the
Silt,
big
but
ones.
well,
right.
buildings were torched in Silt, just not the whole village, right?
Huh. Okay. So... yeah, what is next? Or back to the king?
I do think we should go speak to.
I had assumed that was done. I didn't think we knew it
Okay,
was particularly
great.
important
He's
chat.
already been filled
Yeah.
in.
One thing that I suppose might get mentioned if you speak to him in private, would you have told him about the food stores? Would you have assumed that Verity had told him about the food stores at... it wasn't Seal Bay. I don't know where we were, but it wasn't Seal Bay, was it?
What was the place called again?
My notes say Verity's vision was about Shelton.
Shelton, that's the one. Well done. There you go. Yes, Shelton.
Hey.
There we go. It's marked on the map. Look at that. Amazing.
Yeah,
You
the map
guys
that
are
we're
on
not
the
seeing,
map.
so-
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Anyway, would you have told? Would you have told the king about that, or would you have assumed Verity would, or what's the progress on that specific issue?
I mean, I wanted to ask him directly
Okay.
about how they might know and what other towns have these stores, because Verity didn't seem too sure. So I think maybe the king would know more about
Yeah. Okay.
that.
Well, in that case, why not? We'll pop along to a chat with the king. Yeah, I mean, if you sort of, what's the plan? Are you just going to sort of fire it off? Oi, what about these places? He'll welcome you in. He'll thank you for what you've done in Shelton and ask you how you are.
Oh, yes. I mean, when we're debriefing about what happened,
Mhm.
it will certainly come up
It will.
that, yes, a raider suicide bombed, if I am remembering correctly.
He did, very much so.
Yeah, and knew exactly where this food store was, and I guess just
The king sort of nods, and yes, we did theorize that perhaps what was it you were saying, Jera? And Courtmate Jera sort of says, well, Colgan and I were thinking that perhaps a spell of divination revealed the cache, but otherwise, inside information could only be got from the soldiers employed to place the caches, right? The king sort of nods, and well, yes, we use different soldiers for different caches, the hope being that, only a few know of the locations of all the caches. If you would like to see the locations of the caches, I believe you're all thoroughly trustworthy. Regal deals with that. I can ask him to do that with you. He's currently returning from the Mountain Kingdom, but he should be back within a couple of days. I believe final plans for the wedding are going ahead. It has been a total problem because we want Verity here. With his visions, they're invaluable at protecting towns and villages. So we'd thought to have the wedding in the winter up in the Mountain Kingdom when the town will need the least, when the coast will need the least protecting. But apparently, according to the mountain people, that's not prosperous.
so when is the wedding? Soon?
Spring. It's currently full.
No.
You're currently in
push back.
late September. But King Eord, the mountain people, has promised the wood in advance of the wedding, upon formal betrothal, which should happen within a week or two.
Oh, that's delightful. We are all looking forward to that, right?
Would you-
everyone?
Like that list, then?
Yes, I was just about to say.
Great, okay.
Would we need to wait for Regal? Or
Yes,
can you just...
yes. Regal has.
Okay.
Regal is the one with the copy.
Cool.
We will wait
Copy?
for. He has a list of all of the places.
There's a written list that has all of your secret food storages.
Well, I don't specifically know if he's written it down. Sorry, I made it sound that way. I know, but what I mean is that only Regal, I think, knows where they all are. Though I'm sure the king looks to discretion with a flicker of his eyes, and discretion sort of. An old man's secrets are an old man's secrets. I'll have a full list drawn up for you, and after which you can memorize it and destroy it. Carina, would that be sufficient?
Yes.
In this relationship, this sort of moment, obviously you guys have kind of established that there may be a familial relationship between the king and discretion in the past, and you kind of assumed that discretion may be not of full royal bloodline. But you can see that they're quite close, and the king obviously has a huge amount of trust in discretion. He seems to think that discretion is welcome to the crown secrets that even the king isn't quite aware of. Carina, you will find that there are in fact 14 locations, and there is a line through Shelton, because Shelton is taken. I'm not going to lie, I don't have the names right now, but I will provide those in a break or whatever. But suffice to say that they are dotted sort of evenly along the entire coast from the very northwest of Clyde. I'm pinging a map you guys aren't on.
Thank you.
From the very northwest of Clyde, there is one at the northwest of Skeld, near Gull Island, down at Yellstock. Yace is another one. A village in Dunholm, and then sort of in Prosper Inlet and southeast of Coombs. And again, like sort of, if you know what I mean, they just spread all the way around the coast. But they are all coastal. Because
All
obviously,
coastal.
well, the purpose of them is to be present to replenish stocks depleted by coastal raiders, by the raiders that come every year that don't tend to have red ships and don't tend to carry off loads of hostages, but they still raid every year, right? So the answer in the past for Arvenia has been simply to put extra stocks aside and then help out those villages who get hit the worst.
Well, this is not ideal.
No, but it is nice to note that only one of those 14 locations has been hit thus far.
Yeah.
Do we want, I mean, is like extra protection being diverted to these particular places?
I worry that that's a trap.
Ooh.
To direct your people to those locations.
Definitely. He sort of nods and agrees with you that even doing so might reveal their locations. But a couple of subtle maneuverings have been made. One of Jira's apprentices or colleagues, I believe, has assisted in placing magical protection on some of the closer ones. So they're more difficult to find and get into. A couple of my agents have subtly moved things further into caves, etc. You get the impression he's not being wholly... He's not giving you all the information. Discretion tends to do that anyway, so...
Need
So
to
I've
know.
memorized the list and shown it to the party so they can memorize. I'm going to pull out my timepiece, and I'm going to turn the time back on this parchment before it was written.
Oh, clever.
And burn it.
Oh, and burn it. Okay. So you can't then fast forward
Do
it back.
both.
I was thinking
No
you were
one's writing
rewinding
on
it so
this.
that if at some point you needed to fast forward it and get the list back, you were going to. But no, that's
No, I'm
cool.
just being
set it on
extra
fire. Just set it on fire. Yeah, great. Love that for you. I will put the list in a handout at some point when I've got time to think of names for 14 villages. Just thought of locations for now. Cool. Is there anything else you wish of the king? Otherwise, the king is sort of hoping that you will remain near to Velarys, ready to respond to any of Verity's visions, unless you have any better plans, basically.
Well, we could stay ready. Is there anywhere nearby we could at least help out to guard and still be available on a moment's notice?
The king sort of, well, you could, I suppose, guard various villages, though Velarys town itself is worthy of guard too. So one thing... sorry, go on.
How goes the movement of people from the smaller villages into the larger cities?
As difficult as expected. Very few from the smaller villages actually want to move, as they have no livelihoods elsewhere. Some families have been taken in. Mostly it's those with the youngest of children and the oldest of relatives who have either moved the whole family or indeed just moved the more vulnerable residents. Places like Neat Bay and Eastcliff and Highdowns have been taking in elderly and children with nobody really to care for them. It is placing a difficult cost on the crown, but we're accepting it for now.
Well, I'm not opposed to staying here, ready for the next vision.
I hate to be reactionary, but it seems the only option.
I mean, obviously, right now, there doesn't seem to be much of a pattern. The king is hoping that at some point a pattern will emerge, and you might be able to predict, given Verity's visions and, just watching what's happening, might be able to predict some sort of pattern and get ahead of the raiders. That's the king's hope, but it's a faint one, if we're being honest.
All right, then.
Ultimately, the best way would be to have a spy, and that seems an impossibility right now. So
The king flicks his eyes at discretion, but discretion just sort of gives him a little shake of the head. You can ask if you wish, but no information is presented at the time.
Is that do we not like that plan, Mr. Discretion?
Oh, we like it well enough. It's proving more difficult than we thought, and our king here has been most resistant to the idea that I send somebody a little more experienced to attempt. We've lost those spies that we have placed thus far. The issue is that the customs and the ways and the language and such of the raiders prove such a barrier that fitting in with them well enough to be an accomplished spy is difficult. Very difficult.
I see. I don't know, it's so crazy to me. There's like no one around that knows about their culture or their customs.
Years of raiding our coast sort of leads to them being a little disliked in the area.
I know, but...
Never a
Yeah.
defector?
Thank you, Carina. That's exactly the word I was looking for.
If so, they've kept very quiet.
I see.
that does make things challenging, huh?
And do remember that in the situation, Velarys and the king have sort of not even got a boat that is capable of getting to the Raider Isles as far as they're concerned. Right, so, although the map makes them look very, very close together, sea travel is not the easiest thing, especially in the northern seas, which are very choppy and very difficult to navigate. So there is very little peaceful contact between the two nations, so to speak.
I see. Well, I think it's worthwhile to continue pursuing, but obviously it won't be easy.
No, it won't. We'll keep at it. At this point during the meeting, a gentleman comes in who you've never met. Though he looks quite a lot like Verity. He's not that tall, sort of 5'9", quite stout, quite well built, and quite a gentle face. Do we have a picture of him? We do not. Yeah, he comes in and he nods and father. He looks around to you all. Good day. Sorry to interrupt. But, and he sort of hesitates a little bit and doesn't really know if he can speak freely. But he sort of then turns to the king, who nods his head as if to continue. And you quickly ascertain this is Chivalry, the eldest of the princes and the king in waiting. And he says, "Well, my Lady Patience wants to hold a festival. She thinks it will bring good cheer to those who are struggling in these times. Something to do with the equinox of fall, or such." The king sort of, "What will it cost?" Chivalry sort of, "Well, she has her ideas, they're quite quaint. I don't think it's going to be an exorbitant sum." King sort of shrugs his shoulders and, "Very well, I don't think it can do any harm. Go ahead and make preparation." Chivalry sort of turns to you all and nods and, "Pleasure to meet you. My brother speaks very highly of you, as does my father. Thank you for rescuing my sister. I know it's a long time ago now, but it's amazing we haven't managed to speak. I spent so much time down on the borders of Iscrandia and the Mountain Kingdom. It's unusual to find myself at home at this period of time. Good day.
Good. Lovely to meet you."
Yeah, he sort of, as he goes out, the king is just shaking his head and this Lady Patience is she's a bird of a woman. I really did advise him anyone but he wouldn't be swayed. She is she brings no political gain whatsoever, and she's flighty. I can't wrap my head around the woman. It's one thing and then another and then another and then another. She tattoos her own legs. Crazy. Most strange. But this is yet another flighty ideas of hers that could actually be beneficial, I suppose. We'll let the peasants come and enjoy the festivities and be fed and such. It's a good occasion, I'm sure. You're all welcome to attend, of course, but goodness knows what will happen there.
Sure. You don't think it's a little... I don't know. There we go. It seems kind of like throwing a big party while a lot of people are suffering.
I'll say what I will of Lady
With all due
Patience,
respect.
but she is far from insensitive. In fact, quite the opposite. She has many of the commoners on her side. I'm sure if she judges it correct, then it will be done in the right tone.
Fair enough. When is this? by the way?
I don't know. Within... No doubt with the Lady Patience, it's almost immediately.
I think it could be fun.
Did any of you have any other questions? Great. Sure. He doesn't say that. He sort of he looks at you and is sort of, yep, very well. I'm sure that details of the festivities will be given shortly. And that you will go about your normal duties and such. Yeah. And we'll let you go about the town. Is there anything anybody particularly wants to do, or is this going to be the first of our time skips? Good. I'm so glad that was such a conclusive answer. I will take that as a no. There's nothing we want to do. Fantastic.
Not off the top of my head.
Yeah. So it turns out the festival is in about 4 days.
Oh, great.
But the nature of the festival is a little unusual. We're not going to attend it as such. But I will sort of let you know what happens. Yeah, I know, but it's really, when I describe it, you'll realize it's not particularly interesting. So the idea that she has is about the Earth King, whoever that is. It's some sort of godly figure in her mind of old. So it's an old peasantry fable that at the coming of winter, the Earth King will bless. And she has all these strange sort of wreaths hung on all the doors. And they have a evening of tales leading up to winter where different bards are invited to come and tell stories of times very way past where various difficulties and adversities have been overcome. There is then a sort of the richness of harvest feast, which isn't particularly jolly. It's quite somber. Everything's done in white and green. And there's no music, it's all these tales instead, which makes it quite a somber occasion. But the peasantry and the commoners are very well fed, and everybody is invited. Velarys town itself is, all of the inns are opened up to these so these bards giving speeches, and to all the commoners who are fed well. And at midnight, there's a burning of candles for all those lost in the raids. As the king said, she might be flighty, but she's found the right tone for the commoners where they've heard about the overcoming of adversity all evening, and they get a little bit of belief that it might happen again, but it's not seen as insensitive, a celebration in the face of what's going on.
Oh, good.
Which is lovely and sweet and wonderful.
Tasteful.
And at the onset of winter, the raids, there are a couple more. There is a raid repelled at Yace. Verity saw the... are you guys back in the town, or you're on the map? I've left you on the map this time. Good.
We're on the map.
Yeah, so Yace is quite far inland, which means they've gone down the Prosper Inlet. But Verity's vision prompted both guards and yourselves to get there in time. But when you fought them off, it almost seemed like they hadn't really put much effort into the raid. You fought a few fairly young-looking barbarians who seemed fairly mindless in their attack, and a futile attack at that. There was no taking of people at night or such. It was just a boarding and a repel. There was another raid all the way up just south of Ferris, on a little tiny village just up there. Gellis was the name. And it's thought that upwards of 30 people were taken and forged. The village was burnt to the ground. But the third raid is of interest, as it happened right here, in the beginning of the river up to Sandsedge. And what's interesting is a bit harsh, but we'll go with it. What's worrying about this particular raid, which is on Kravuk, which is spelled like this.